It's the bass.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be joining you guys again today. And just for everyone, I'm Dupe, which is the Kehinde of the pair. Kehinde meaning the younger twin.
And I'm Lola, and I am Taiwo. And we, as you may know or may not know, the name of our first book is Taiwo and Kehinde, and that's it's a Yoruba name given to twins, and Taiwo is the first twin, and Kehinde is the second twin. Yeah. So that's how the name came about for our first book.
Yep. You want to talk a little bit about that first book?
Yeah, sure. Let me give a quick recap of the first book, right? So rewind to 2018, sometime. I think actually the journey started in late 2017, early 2018. Myself, Kehinde, and my husband, we kind of came together, and we wanted to just teach the world, our children, more about financial literacy, right? And what is the best way to do so? That's not in a textbook format, but what is something that could also increase or encourage learning? So we decided, let's create a chapter book which would embed multiple principles of financial literacy, but also fun to read and kind of being reflective of some of our culture growing up in Brooklyn, New York. And lo and behold, that's how Taiwo and Kehinde, the wedding trip, came about. So that book is the first book of the series, which we have a series, Taiwo and Kehinde. So we are still working on book 2 of that series. But we also have another book geared towards much younger readers. So between the ages of 4 and 6, right? Hoping that teachers, parents, guardians, whoever could read to the younger children, but also kind of break it down into the core principles of financial literacy. So there's a foundation to start off with. For example, assets, right? And the key thing to kind of understand is it's not a chapter book, right? It's an ABCs book. So we kind of broke it down so that every letter of the alphabet is a financial literacy principle.
Yeah. So that series is called Mrs. Honey. And the first book is the ABCs of Money. So our planned release date is sometime summer. We actually really are shooting for July right now. So we're actually pretty close to finalizing. We're working with the illustrator. We're finalizing the images. And obviously we have to go through several rounds of revisions, but we're working towards and planning for our what are we calling it? Our
launch.
Yeah, our launch, our pre-sales, which we're planning pre-sales to start in June and to be able to actually sell broadly starting in July. So that's our big exciting news for you guys.
That's awesome. I actually have a question about the whole financial literacy thing, because that's basically how I got into career. I'm in the finance sphere, and my whole journey into it was I was just interested about learning about finance for myself, right? And I just imagine these sorts of resources weren't available when I was a kid. No one taught me about assets, liabilities. No one told me about credit. No one told me about, index funds, what a Roth IRA is, things of that nature. What is it in your lives that kind of pushed you to create this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We were actually talking to someone on that same exact topic actually not that long ago, and I think we share common sentiments around not necessarily being taught those things growing up, and also maybe being taught things that weren't even correct. So just for example, all debt is not bad debt, right? Yeah. But growing up, it was debt, bad. Don't try to run away from it as quickly as possible, not knowing that actually debt could be used as an instrument, right? You can leverage debt to acquire more assets, right? So those types of things, or to build your credit, right? So those types of things, we didn't really know either. So I think just I think maybe the other piece too of how we kind of got into it is, we both went to good schools, we got into really good careers, and, we found ourselves with jobs that, pay a decent salary, right? And we wanted to, how do we maximize that and get out of a cycle of you make money, but then you just spend it all and not work towards financial independence, where we get to the point where you get to choose how you want to spend your time. If you want to work or not work. And those are the things that we were just like interested in doing, and wanting to be able to then share that with younger folks, children.
And I think the key part there too is like the financial independence, right? Financial freedom, right? So thankfully, we have good careers, as Ken said, and good jobs, right? But do we want to work for the rest of our lives, right? What are some ways that we could actually generate wealth and then pass it on to children? Like, I mean, I think most people would say money is definitely a means to accomplish many, many things, and it's important. So, like, why not find out as much as we can to see exactly what we could create even more?
Yeah, but it starts with like the basics, and it starts with the fundamentals. And it's great to start that with children, right? So let's start to build a solid foundation so they know just the basics of savings and budgeting. And those are some of the principles we weaved into our first book. And then in this book that we're going to be releasing this summer, we even talk about like things like assets and mortgage and equity. Yeah, and like figuring out, okay, those are things that's important to know. It's good to be part of children's vocabulary. But how do we explain it and illustrate it now in a way that kind of brings it to life for children and hopefully with them as they continue to grow and progress?
But before, I definitely want to ask questions about the sequel to the first book. But I'm curious, why did you all decide to go with the book for the younger audience for your second book, as opposed to just going with what you all pretty much already did round one of? Because I know at the time, I don't, like last time we spoke, I don't know if you all had officially decided that. Also, it just sounds harder, because I remember when I was teaching, I was like, man, I have no idea how to teach like very basic like math to like younger kids. So I'm curious, why the decision to go write a book for, I guess, a different demographic or a different range of a different age range, and I guess what was challenging about it and exciting about it at the same time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like exactly how that particular conversation actually started. But I think so for the middle grade book that we have now, right? That's more for older readers in like lower middle grade, so 6th grade, maybe even 5th grade too, but maybe like 6th, 7th grade, right? But then we did understand that there are certain words that are used in the book that would be helpful if they were thoroughly like more explained and expounded. And then we thought, okay, what would be the best platform, the best avenue to be able to kind of explain that? Yeah. So we thought, let's have a companion book, basically a companion book, maybe that could kind of help explain these words, but also make it very fun to read for a younger audience and easy to grasp. And that's how the rhyming comes into play.
But also, I feel like when we were, we're telling people, oh, we have a children's book, I think people were expecting it would be for like a younger crowd. So I think after hearing that a couple of times, we're like, you know what, maybe we should do something, for a younger crowd, right? Because if you're hearing so much about that, there's clearly a demand, right, for it. People seem to be excited about, oh, wow, you guys wrote a financial literacy book for children. We tell them, oh, yeah, it's maybe more for 6th grade. They're not like they're disappointed, but they're like, oh, they would have been even more excited if we said, oh, this is for, you could give this to your preschooler to read. So we're like, let's try to like fill that demand and see what we can do in that space while still working on, book 2, in that first series.
I feel like this could be like
I honestly, that last conversation we had with you guys it was 2021, right? Or 2020?
You know what? I think it was 2020, maybe.
Actually, I think it was pre-pandemic.
I think it was during it
might have been early pandemic. I think it's crazy. The pandemic's been like 2-3 years.
Whoa, I have it up.
It had to be during, because even 2020, that's still pandemic.
We posted it September 10th, 2020.
Wow.
Holy.
Time flew by so fast.
So it'll be coming up on 2 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I was going to say, I feel like some of what we spoke about was actually pretty like inspiring for us, because then we started like thinking about, oh, you know, that conversation we had on the base, like, you know, you guys asked like some really good questions, and you know, made some like suggestions that we should like, you know, we should consider, like let's put it somewhere to the side. Like, for example, I think we talked a little bit about like maybe a docu-series, maybe not quite that way, but I think we did talk about that, right? And that is something.
Did that inspire the interview series?
In a way, it inspired, yes. It in a way inspired the interview series, but to go to the question that you asked, Jose, at the very beginning, talking more about our brand, we do see it not just being books, but other media, you know, types of content around financial literacy. And we have the interview series, you know, we're, you know, thinking about doing some kind of docu-series. I don't know exactly what it's going to shape up to be, but something like that. And that actually was kind of inspired by our last time talking with you guys. So thank you.
And we did have a conversation too after we spoke to you all with Levon, right?
Yes.
And then it was when we talked through Levon, and Levon really kind of helped us think through what was the best way to communicate with younger readers. And I believe he's the one who kind of came up with the idea of like
suggested rhyming,
which
we do have now. It's in our book. So
that's pretty clever. I was gonna ask about which maybe this might lead into that. How did you all decide the words that you wanted to use?
Right? Yeah. Well, kind of just following the alphabet, like, kind of makes it easy. And you know, how many financial words? I'm sure anyone who works in finance can come up with a gazillion, but you know, we're not like financial experts. Like, what words start with A that's like finance related? And then we're like,
amortization.
What did you say?
Amortization assets.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, that is too complicated, right? That's not too complicated for like a 4-year-old. But okay, maybe
asset. That's good. Asset.
So we kind of just went through that process where we were brainstorming words, and then we were thinking about the intended audience, so that maybe caused us to like drop some words we thought were too complicated. I'm not going to ruin this for folks, but there's a letter actually that we decided not to do a word for.
Really?
Yes. Maybe you guys want to take a guess, like what letter it is.
X?
We were like, yes.
Maybe you could think of something.
But no, there are words where we're like, all these
expensive.
Xerox.
No.
Expensive?
No. Something with an X. That's good. Financial.
Xeroxing receipts.
I think the younger generation might not even know like Xeroxing that context.
Right?
Oh, man, you made me feel old.
A picture with your phone.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
So that rhyming part actually sounds like a lot of fun. So okay, that sounds like a pretty cool way of coming up with the word. So how did you all figure out or decide on the imagery that's gonna go with these words?
Yeah, that part wasn't easy.
Yeah, that it wasn't easy at all. So we've had several working sessions, right? So, you know, I live in DC, Ken lives in New York, and my husband lives in DC. So we obviously had a lot of our meetings like over Zoom, and was over like a weekly basis. We had to make sure we were all on the same page of the words we wanted to communicate and exactly how we wanted to communicate it. So once we developed the actual manuscript, again, you know, Levon definitely provided some pretty good comments on what are some good images that will kind of resonate with children from that age group.
Yeah, he was kind of our educational consultant, given his background with that age group.
So yeah, he definitely helped with that, but we definitely wanted to make sure that the images were going to pop and it accompanied very well with the words on the page. So yeah, I think our original intent was to have this book out last year, because, you know, we started this journey on this book right at the tail end of 2020. Now that we think about it, beginning of 2021,
right after us being on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly, right after. So we initially hired our first another artist through another avenue last year, and we were not satisfied with the outcome of those images, and we told
it was stick figures.
What was that?
It was just stick figures.
Well,
like, this is not what we had in mind.
Step above stick figures. I'm not even lying. But our hope was
for real. I was just kidding.
Nigerians have high standards.
high standards, yes. But for all the folks out there who are looking to create a children's book, go high quality, which is going to cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Don't scrimp on the illustrator and the illustrations, because that's one of the most important parts of the book. And we're looking for an illustrator who could also help us think through some of the images. We had most of the ideas, right, of how to illustrate the various words, but illustrator, might think about things a little bit different than how we're thinking about it, and we want it to be kind of like a partnership.
Yep.
So the illustrator we have now, she actually suggested some good things that we've incorporated, but that first illustrator we had, it wasn't really like like collaborative type of relationship, and the quality wasn't that great. So we decided to ditch that artist, and we went and found someone else who we are finding to be a lot more productive. And she, because she has experience illustrating children's books, she even suggested, oh, you know what? Like maybe we should consider this illustration for this word in a way that we hadn't thought of, and we actually incorporated a lot of her suggestions.
So yeah, I think for us, definitely that was a lesson, right? That we need to really do a lot of research in terms of finding out the best artists for our project, because that definitely set us back many months.
Yeah.
Because it's why we're in 2022 and we're here. But at least that was a lesson learned.
And it set us back months, time, and money.
Money too, right? It's eventually a sunk cost.
Yeah.
Another
finance.
Hey.
Sunk cost.
Maybe for part 2, we'll use that as the S.
Yeah, that's true. We could.
Yeah. But so does that answer your question about how we come up with the illustrations for the book?
I want to know when the PBS show is coming out. That's what I want to know.
Is it going to be Muppets? I remember this guy brought it up last time. He was like, "Oh, I know they don't like this idea, but I'm a big fan of Jim Henson."
Oh, yeah. Well, so without giving up too much, because it's not like fully planned out yet, but they might have something. It's not going to be like Muppets, but how do I'm going to give like a little flavor. It'll have something to do with music. We're kind of playing around, with the idea again for like younger kids.
Darian, just so he doesn't think I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, Darian.
If you're black, Darian, I didn't forget your name. My fault. Go ahead, ask questions. I got tons of questions.
No, this is like a whole universe. This could springboard like a whole lot of things. It was very interesting because I remember years ago when I first got into my profession, one of the ways I tried to get into it is by doing pro bono work for like a professional organization. And what was interesting is that these financial professionals, mostly like, CFPs, financial planners, things of that nature, would go to like these different organizations and do seminars and give resources. And I would always think like this should be standard. This should be the norm. Like these sort of resources, like having a curriculum and also having supplements to go with it as well is something that's sorely needed, particularly in a society where you really need to know these things. And if you don't know these things, you're at a huge handicap. And it seems like we go out of our way to not tell our kids about this. It's weird. It's like, you either find out about it the hard way or you get lucky and you just have some sort of weird interest. What are your thoughts about, I guess, the general climate of financial literacy in general, but particularly as it pertains to children?
Yeah. I personally think that there's still some ways to go. I know we read an article weeks ago or a month ago about like Florida passed a legislation to include financial literacy in
Florida, of all places. That's
right?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
man.
Yeah. Now we don't know what the quality of that, thing, and how it'll actually be administered, implemented, but hopefully a step in the right direction.
And have the conversation too start.
Yeah, to start the conversation
among the states. But I do think it definitely starts with parents, right? You definitely got to make sure you instill those values in your children. So that's definitely what we're hoping, that these kind of discussions and the book would encourage folks to be able to do that, right? Don't kind of shy away or think, oh yeah, the schools would teach the children, or when they get older, oh no, this is just when they get older they'll learn it. No, like start doing it now, and then even for yourself, you have to make sure you're improving your own understanding. I know recently we saw like a survey, which they put out like a financial literacy survey to adults. And I think over the last like 7 or 8 years, the results of those surveys really hasn't improved. That folks, in America, right, in the U.S., are still not at the level where they should be in terms of understanding financial literacy. So I think that's still a little concerning. If it's over a 7-year period, it's still not improving. But hopefully, with a lot of resources out there and folks kind of understanding what's available, that could increase hopefully with the next couple of years.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. I do hope so.
You would be surprised the amount of intelligent, high-earning people who know nothing about, like just being in the career just opened my eyes. Like so many talented, high-earning people, and we're talking about like real good money. We're talking about mid 6 figures into the we're talking about just nothing. It's just like it's not even just nothing. Sometimes it's like, this isn't even a word, but I'm gonna make it up. It's like anti-information. It's like reverse information. It's like things that would like implode somebody. It's just weird. It's in our society is so, particularly America, is so built on being financially literate because, to be frank, like, let's say compared to other developed countries, European countries, etc., we don't have the same sort of social safety nets that people do, right? Yep. So it's like, it's really imperative for people to have this information. And we seem to go out of our way to not, make this information accessible. So, it's just, I don't know. You guys are doing a good thing, and I don't think it can be overstated how valuable this is and how much of a need for it. It's just so weird. Like, I can't think of many other things that someone needs to be privy to as a person of any age in America, more so than financial literacy. I really can't.
I think it makes sense, though.
Well, literacy first, but we can think through all the colleges, right? Or all the courses we took in high school and college, and I'm sure there's.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Art history. I'm sorry if there are any like art buffs out there, but come on, swap out art history for like something on finance. I feel like that's going to give kids concrete, tangible, things that they could actually use for years and years to come. Like, come on.
It should be mandatory. I think it should be like a mandatory class. Like at least a couple of semesters of like, a couple, maybe 6 credits of financial, whatever it's, I don't know. It's sad.
It's really sad. Yeah, it's really sad. So who knows? Maybe it's by design in some way.
Let's get into it. Conspiracy. Let's get into it. Illuminati. No shit. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, hey, I wouldn't be surprised because
does anyone know anyone who took any classes like that in middle school, high school, or college? I mean, do you all know?
I took like a finance class, but in high school, but it wasn't like learning how to. It was just like
it was like personal finance, right?
It wasn't even personal finance. It was like you could take some personal finance stuff from it, but it wasn't. It wasn't like, hey, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to prep school. I went to college prep school, and there was no financial literacy or any of that nature. I mean, you had to kind of stumble into it, like in like a community service project or like in a side job or something, and somebody will reach out and be like, "Hey, did you open up a checking account?" And I'm like, "No, how do I do that?" And then they'll walk you to the bank or they'll take you out of Bank of America and be like, "Nah, don't put your bank in there. Go to Wachovia at the time, which is now Wells Fargo." So
It's like an afterthought,
Yeah.
or some extracurricular type of thing, and it should be like the main.
Absolutely, like how to open an account, like how to like write checks, checking book.
Yeah.
But I know. What about like college though? Like when we were taking out loans, you had to fill out FOPSA, you had to do all that stuff.
Oh, they love that.
Oh yeah,
They love that. That's when you start getting the credit card people on campus trying to get your fucking credit cards.
Oh
It's so predatory. Oh my god,
it really is.
It's like it's predatory to the point where it's funny. Like there's like it's hilarious, bro. Like you go to a college student who's never had money before, and here I'm gonna give you this thing, and you can buy whatever you can buy whatever you want. It's a wrap. Like you're done.
Yeah, here's $5,000.
Right.
But they don't know anything about adjusted interest or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the interest is just 20%, and you're thinking, wow, that's not even a big number.
That's not a lot.
$20 a month. That's it. You just pay $20 a month.
Yeah.
Barely chipping away at the interest that's accruing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I definitely had a few questions, as the resident Nigerian on the team. Very happy that you guys are here. One question I did ask is we discuss this on the base very often when we talk about each other's upbringings, and obviously DK is Dominican. Ed Boy, he claims he's not African, but he might be Jamaican. Who knows?
What?
I'm trolling. But and of course Fab, who is Jamaican. We have different yet similar upbringings, obviously here on the East Coast. I grew up in Jersey. Everybody else in the show, they grew up in New York, but with a Nigerian background. So can you guys talk about, we've mentioned on the show from time to time, but can you guys talk about the old school linear culture that helped you guys kind of figure out what you wanted to do? And did you guys want to go that route? And when I say linear, I mean, for those, our viewers and our listeners who don't know, in the Nigerian culture, it's kind of like strongly recommended or that you go to school and you either become one of the big three or big four, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or educator. It's if you don't do those, if you don't go to school for those four, did you really go to college? You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like I started out at pre-med, and after about a year, I decided, no, I want to, instead of being a sports doctor, which was my dream, I changed courses and was like, I want to be a sports journalist. And in the world of journalism and media and sports journalism and sports media and I'm also a musician, it just opened up a whole new market for me in terms of podcasting and content creation, and just like right now I'm a podcast producer, aside from obviously the base show, so it opened up I was able to get in and find something that fit exactly not just what I went to school for, but what I'm passionate for, and be able, of course, to make money. Because if that's not the case, then what is? But anyway, so can you guys talk about the linear culture of Nigerian culture, and how did you guys navigate that into what you guys are doing today?
Yeah. Take a stab at it.
I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned about those like career paths, because neither of us are in any of those career paths, right? And I think like our parents were not actually traditional in that manner at all, right? Our parents, I don't remember our parents ever saying, "Oh, go to school and be an engineer, a lawyer." They never said any of that, right? But they did encourage education, which we did, right? So after high school, we went to college, and we went to grad school after a couple of years. But our parents have been supportive with everything that we decided to go through, which is I think awesome, because I know not every person has parents who would do that. Our parents are just like, whatever makes you happy, do it. So I think that's what
so we benefited from not really facing the traditional Nigerian way. I would say though, on the point of the linear narrow thinking though, I would say that so our parents were stricter, they got less and less strict as they got older, but they were a little bit more stricter, and also sometimes a little bit more singular minded when it came to things around like finance. So initially I mentioned the point about growing up debt is bad, yes, but it depends on the type of debt, right? Because you can use debt, you can leverage it to get like, more assets if you do it in a way that makes sense and you understand all the risks, et cetera, et cetera. But like for our, maybe I shouldn't say our parents, I say it for my dad, our dad in particular, like debt was always a terrible thing, so it's kind of like anti-mortgage, anti-buying a house, like anti some of those things, which actually, if they had done that in Brooklyn where we grew up, who knows how much that house would have been worth now, right? So a little short-sighted in that way. So, we didn't benefit from, our parents on their own seeking to advance their own, knowledge, but instead kind of instilling things that actually was, more detrimental than good. So we had to unlearn some of those things, right? Like, and we were so risk averse. My parents were very risk averse when it came to some of those like things, and we had to like unlearn some of that so that we could like move forward and then learn, things the correct way around finance. But we didn't end up being a doctor or engineer or anything like that. So we're in good jobs. I'm in healthcare. You're in tech, so
it's in the world. It's in, no,
but I would say about that, like Nigerian entrepreneurial spirit. I'm sure you're probably like, Nigerians always
always hustling.
Always hustling. Always hustling. Always
yeah,
hustling.
kind of like that too.
I like that too. So I think we definitely have that in us.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, no, I see that, and I applaud that. My sisters, for sure.
Now that you have the second book out the way, thinking about just the process for both of them, did this experience change like the direction you all originally thought you were going to go in regards to the type of content maybe that you want to create, to initially build your empire? And not only that, was there one process that you enjoyed more than the other, or is it pretty much felt like exactly the same?
I think we've definitely learned a lot over the years. We've learned a lot, right? And there's things that we know that we could do differently moving forward. Obviously, like the artist piece that we know from the very beginning, from the get-go. I don't think our plans have necessarily changed. In fact, I think we've kind of, our lenses has expanded more. So like, hey, this is other things we could do. And I think it's definitely challenging. Obviously, we all have full-time jobs and we have other things, right? But we definitely want to make this a priority. So for us, it's making sure that we focus on the right things at the right time, so we have an outcome, right? So it's not just, we're doing all these little things and have all these outputs, but like, what's the overall like big picture, right? What are we trying to create, and making sure that anyone sees our website, right, or they hear Taiwo and Kehinde, they understand like what that means.
Yeah, because I think when we first started writing the first book, I don't think we necessarily started it with the intent that we were trying to build, like a brand or produce a lot of other types of content. But when we got the first book out the way, we're like thinking, what are some other things we can do? We had the idea of the ABCs of Money. And I think us working on that ABCs of Money book has opened us up to creating more things for a younger audience, in addition to continuing to create for the original like age group. So we're definitely thinking of some other books in the Mrs. Honey series, because I want that to be a series too. So if it's not like the ABCs, who knows? Maybe there'll be a 1, 2, 3 like coming out too. So I think that like we're a lot more open now to the younger audience than we were in the beginning. And I'll be honest, I think it was fun actually making this, like doing the rhymes and figuring out the words and
having some disagreements on stuff.
Disagreements on like what sounds good rhyme-wise, what doesn't, and is a kid gonna understand this or not. So it definitely has opened us up to more possibilities. And I think to your point, now we want to make sure that there's some cohesiveness to this brand that we're creating. It's not just like all these one-offs, like, we have this one book here and this one book there. That we want to have some connection amongst all of it, and all kind of telling a similar narrative around the importance of financial literacy, especially starting to close that knowledge gap at a younger age.
Like, who are some of your role models that you guys like aspire to be? Like, I know, I can speak for myself. When I got into content creation and podcasting and music and screenplay writing and stuff, Donald Glover is a huge fan of mine. I love Atlanta. It's one of my favorite shows. Of course, Shaq, who's from Jersey, Shaquille O'Neal. I'm a huge fan of, aside from him being a great basketball player, but he's a great businessman as well. And he's done a phenomenal job of his brand and building it and helped to infuse a lot of finance and infrastructure into Jersey. Newark, one of my hometowns as well. So these are people that I see, and Stephen A. Smith as well, who's one of the biggest faces in sports media, probably in the world. These are people that I aspire, and they help motivate and give me somebody to like strive for. So for you guys, like, who are some people that you like would just die to meet, or just major like influences or people that you aspire that have motivated you?
That's a very good question. I know I'm very big on like business owners and just seeing how people kind of build something from maybe nothing, and it could be across any industry, right? Whether it's beauty or it's fashion, real estate, actually, because real estate is something that we're actually really passionate about. So when I see like folks who I may follow like on Instagram who have this real estate empire, it's like, wait, I could be just like them. They started from just one single house, but now they have multiple single family units, multiple duplexes, multiple buildings. Like I could do this too. But I do like seeing business owners, right? And just having that drive. There's a lot of like podcasts out there where it talks about how to be successful. Like me, myself and Darian listen to it like all the time, like just kind of striving and putting that focus. I don't know if it's necessarily anyone I would kind of like dying to meet per se.
Yeah, I always have a hard time with that role model question, because I'm generally like take inspiration from like bits and pieces of the various things that various people do. But something that was inspirational to us when it came to maybe less about the book per se, but just around the concept of financial independence, is the Bigger Pockets. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Bigger Pockets. Yeah. So
it's like it's basically a whole sort of, go to biggerpockets.com. They have like a forum, they have articles, they have videos. It's just like, it focuses around basically real estate investing, but it also has things for landlords, general financial, stuff. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. And a lot of the folks that they featured on their podcasts, I have found them to be like inspirational, and I've learned like a lot from following Bigger Pockets, their podcasts and their resources. We actually use some of their resources when we bought some of our properties that we have now.
Properties, plural.
We're landladies.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, that was a light flex.
Dollars.
We didn't catch that. He's like, our properties anyway. What about this book?
And we're talking dollars, not naira.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also some.
Oh, you got some properties in Nigeria?
In Nigeria?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we are talking naira.
It's both.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going international.
I love it. What's up?
Man, don't.
Like being able to take calculated risks. Because I know, like you mentioned about being risk averse. I think it was like, oh, this is scary. Do we want to do this? Like, am I sure it's going to generate a return? But I think in life, you always have to take risks, because you have to. If you're not moving,
absolutely.
You're not doing something.
Scared money don't make no money.
Yeah.
See, they're getting too financially literate. They're going to end up with the Panama Papers or something like that. They're too literate.
So I actually wanted to ask you about clearly the rebranding that your website went through. I'm assuming it aligned with just I guess the things you all learned just the last year and some change since we've linked up as you all wrote the second book. So can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, the rebranding, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you talk about it because this one here is constantly harping on website. We have to do it. Like we have meetings every week, and always on the agenda it's like, what are we doing with the website? So you speak about it.
Like for me, I see the website as that like face of our brand. I always want to make sure if someone goes to the website, there's no doubt in their mind what Taiwo and Kehinde represents. So like a year or so ago, as you know, the website was very geared towards that first book. Right, because at that point, that's what we had, and we haven't kind of expanded at that time. So we knew we had to come together and revamp the website. So it's not just focused on that one book, since we do have other things. Right, Taiwo and Kehinde is not just the Taiwo and Kehinde, the wedding trip, the book one. So that was kind of why we knew that we had to change the website, making sure that our vision and goal is right there, front and center, like on that first page. Because before it was just strictly about the synopsis of book one. So now we have a separate tab that says publications and kind of list out so far like what we have. So Taiwo and Kehinde series, Mrs. Honey series, and who knows, we'll probably have a whole list, later on down the line. But we wanted to keep it open and not just box in to just Taiwo and Kehinde, the wedding trip. So that's kind of why it's you see that revamp. So yeah, thanks for checking it out.
I will say it definitely gave me a different impression than the first time. Specifically, the words that you guys have around around you two eating the cookies, because I saw food culture. I was like, yeah, this is. There's definitely a lot more different types of content coming out of here. So yeah, I guess if that was the impression that there was more to come, that's for sure. I did also want to ask about the interview series that you all started not too long ago. I think you all just released episode 3 not too long ago. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in celebration / recognition of Financial Literacy Awareness Month, which is this month, April, we decided to release some interview series. And even before April came around, we'd been talking about wanting to interview people just about their thoughts on financial literacy. And then we were like, maybe we should kind of narrow that down to start talking to business owners. And then with March being also like Women's History Month, we're like, maybe we should start with women business owners and then release that through the month of April because it is Financial Literacy Awareness Month. And we decided to do the first interview with our older sister, who is the inspiration for the big sister character in the book. In book one. So, and she's a business owner. So she talks about her business in that first interview. But then we have other, business owners who we know, friends, and we're like, we should maybe also use our platform as a way to kind of learn from them and like promote them, too. So that's kind of how it came about. Mm-hmm.
You guys just remind me of like the Nigerian Shonda Rhimes, or like, I mean, for those who don't know, she made Grey's Anatomy, and now she's got her own Shondaverse on Netflix.
Yes.
Like she's got like Bridgerton is hers. Finding Anna, Discovery Anna, yeah.
Because now I see him like it's like Shondaland, right?
It's Shondaland, yeah. Or just like with 50 Cent with freaking Power, and like it's like basically the 50 verse. I see you guys. This is how it starts.
Yeah.
Also, is this game for real? This game at the bottom? There's a Taiwo and Kehinde, the game.
Oh, but somebody says the game. Where?
Is that an ad?
Yeah. It's probably an ad.
That was an ad?
Is that
no. It looks like it does look a little bit like an ad, but it also looks like legit. Like it's a game that you would start to. It's on your website. August 18th.
That's a good tip off. We shouldn't have any ads coming up on our website, but we'll take a look. But maybe that's another type of content we'll add to our
right? like a financial literacy
or an app.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Because I feel like, well, a game I think would be good because all you're balancing whatever you want to call it, a sheet of numbers. I think it would be pretty cool to have
awesome, especially for like younger kids, especially if you have like a teacher who don't want to teach that day. Like I remember they used to bring out the big TVs.
Yep.
And
Wheel it out there with the
like,
VCR.
Just have them play your game. The Taiwo and Kehinde game. Just have them play that. Like,
Yeah.
That would be cool. You could make everything expensive.
Come out of this, us being on this
Exactly.
podcast.
They're gonna have a whole empire with podcasts, with games, with like a show, children's show, the movie with like Shonda Rhimes like directing it. Like,
huh? I'm trying to think if there's anything. I know the food thing. I see food here. I know one of you got that food page. I'm also a foodie.
Oh yeah, that's kind of we kind of chilled off on that because you can't focus on 20 things, at once.
Oh man, they're gonna end up on the Food Network too. It's a wrap.
Oh my god.
It's a wrap.
Was it Nigerian food? Because I haven't seen it. It wasn't? Oh.
No, I think it's talking about the cookies, right? Were you referring to the cookies? Were you referring to the cookies?
No, well, I know one of you has a food IG.
Yeah. That's that one. Yeah, that's actually my IG now. But we had started that together when we first started our food-inspired blog years ago.
Oh wow!
But on the cookie thing, I was thinking about it because I saw the picture when you all were, I think, at your old school, and you guys were eating the cookies. I'm like, you should package these cookies. These should be in every bodega.
So yes, that is one of our plans. We kind of did put it to the side for now, just so we could finish the launch of this book. But I have gotten requests for cookies and to kind of turn that into a business. So the Taiwo and Kehinde cookie company was something that we've been.
You did bake cookies.
And we sold some cookies, but then it was kind of just became too much to handle that. And then I had I guess he was born by the time we did this podcast, right?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, because I had a second son in August of 2020. I guess a month before we came on the podcast. So it was too much. I couldn't do that and the Taiwo and Kehinde and bake cookies. So, but we might revive that again eventually. So we'll see.
So remember, before the billionaires, they were here first.
They were here on the base exactly. We're gonna see them at the Super Bowl in the skybox. Like, were we just talking about?
Yeah.
I hope we don't get a letter in 5 years. Take down this episode when they start cleaning up.
Yeah, we're gonna get hit with a copy.
A cease and desist.
I showed the book. We're gonna get hit with a copyright.
A gag order. It's terrible.
So, what's next for the brand? Is there a book 3 you all already started?
And are you planning this? Like, I think you guys kind of touched on this. Are you doing like a series, or like is the goal to like have like you said like a couple some. It really is like the DC Marvel universe, and like some crossover here between characters and series. That'd be pretty cool.
So at least for 2022, definitely the ABCs, Mrs. Honey's ABCs of Money. That's going to be the summer. So for Taiwo and Kehinde, the Wedding Trip Book 2, we have a very a light draft that we're going to touch up. So we are hoping to really start working on that draft after Book 2, after the ABCs of Money book comes out. So there will definitely be a Book 2 for the first series, right?
Yeah, maybe by 2023, even we'll have that out. But we also want, so Mrs. Honey is going to be a series. So we have the ABCs, and then we still have to kind of think about what the book 2 in that series will be. Mm-hmm. But it'll be probably something also geared to the younger age group.
Mm-hmm. Remember, we also did say about the docu-series. Like, we're really, like, we've been talking about that one, getting clips here and there, but we really want to see that come together. So it could kind of highlight different viewpoints of, like, money. So that's kind of something that we're really, really shooting for. Maybe this year might be a little bit of a stretch, but we definitely want to have that coming out soon. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Have you guys read the Squirrel Manifesto?
No.
You said Squirrel?
Squirrel Manifesto.
No. What's that?
So it's the only other children's book that I know of that's about financial literacy. It's by Rick Edelman. And you guys 110. Do you know who Rick Edelman is?
No.
So basically, he's like a really popular radio show host, and he's kind of like you ever heard of like Susie Orman, those types of people. He's like the kind of the granddaddy of them, or one of like the top three. Him, like Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, they all have their own little fiefdoms, but they're he came up as a financial planner, and he has like a radio show, and he has like a company and stuff like that. And I went to I don't know, it was years ago. It was prior to the pandemic. This event that my company went to, and they gave out this book. The illustrations are really good, but I'm like, you guys could do better. 110%. You guys would kill it. Absolutely. I think you would. But I don't know, maybe it's something to check out just to see what else is out there. But I mean, just telling by the work that you've already produced, you guys could kill it for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, we'll definitely Squirrel Manifesto. Yeah.
Yeah. You could. It's like you could just look it up on Google. Look it up on Amazon. I actually have
I sent them a link on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I
already had it up. Yeah, no, I thought I saw that book somewhere.
Yeah, it's laying around.
I was like, yo, why does that sound so familiar?
Yeah, and I read it, and I was like, yeah. Like, I mean, it's hard to put yourself in the body of a kid, but you kind of know. It's kind of, all right, cool. I mean, it looks nice.
We'll check it out.
It looks nice. So,
I don't know if y'all had any other questions, or if before we tee it up. Well, before we leave the ending for Lola and Dupe, for any last words.
Is it you go boy and that boy?
Well,
we should change the name to the boy.
That's unique. I mean,
well, okay. The story behind that. I love telling the story about this. My full name. You guys are Yoruba, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
I'm Igbo. So,
okay.
My full name is Ugo Chukwu.
Okay.
Which means Eagle of God and God's crown and God's pride. A whole bunch of meanings behind it. So my aunt, my mother's younger sister, she used to watch all the 90s sitcoms like everybody, like back in the day. And when she would see me as a kid, every time she'd come over to visit, and she used to live with us too, she'd always, every time she'd see me, she'd get so excited to be like, hey, you go boy. And she got it from Martin, obviously, because Martin and Gina, you go girl, you go boy. So originally,
that's funny.
It's hilarious, and I love it. So it's super catchy, and originally my musician, my stage name was The You. You know what I mean? But like it was hard to find. The University of Miami already has it.
Yeah, you're about to get sued, bro.
I was gonna get sued like
at some point.
At some point, I was just playing with fire. It was just a matter of time before a cease and desist or a gag order was gonna come. So I was like, you know what? How about I just go with, because my Twitter handle has been You Go Boy since I joined Twitter in 2009 when I was still in college. So I was just like, why not just go with You Go Boy? So I rebranded everything, my website, merchandise, songs, renamed everything on DistroKid, and people love it now. It's like 2 Chainz when he changed his rap name. Like everybody loves it now, so I just stick with it. That's how You Go Boy happened.
All right.
Good to know.
So, and anything in closing you want to?
Yeah. I mean, again, thanks for having us on here. Our website is taiwoandkehinde.com. Definitely take a look, right? Any feedback, right? I would love feedback, yes. Right? If any other ideas, like definitely please share it and follow us on all the social media channels.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And one last quick question: which African country makes the best jollof rice?
What kind of question is that?
Bias.
There we go.
I wasn't going to say anything else.
Exactly. There is only one answer.
Exactly. I just need to hear. Yeah.
Oh girl, I love the way she do it. She get low like it's nothing really to it. She pick it up and she spin it back around and she get it from my mama. Damn, I knew it. Ezoku, Ezoku, Ezoku. Nice job, boy. Ibu Kwenu, yeah, that's true. She move her hips so proper. Yeah, and she look like Rihanna.